Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Mental Wellness Wake Up Show, a weekly podcast where growth minded, creative people come to learn best practices from both spirituality and psychology that create lasting well being. I am your host, mental wellness expert, improvised acting teacher, therapist, and coach, Dawn McMillan. Let's get to it. Oh, my beautiful humans, thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you are. And I am really so grateful that you have been liking and sharing and subscribing to the podcast because our little podcast continues to grow. Our community is spreading out all over the world. And frankly, that's because of you. I myself have been doing zero marketing lately, which my business coach would say is complete suicide, but somehow we keep growing. And the reason why I haven't been doing any marketing is really that social media break. It's been almost a total media break. I'm like barely consuming anything right now. Has been so good for me emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. When I was an undergraduate, I double majored in psychology and in communication. And at that time, one of the truisms in communication was that the media doesn't tell us what to think. It tells us what to think about. And so not being on various forms of media has allowed me to reset, to hear myself think, and to realign my thoughts with my values instead of whatever happens to be sparkly or shiny or outrageous, which is a lot of what comes across my feed in social media. So I'm super, super grateful that you showed up today and that you've asked other people to give this podcast a listen. And if you haven't had a chance to go like, subscribe, or share, please do. I was on iTunes giving a 5-star review to a podcast that I enjoy. And I noticed that this person who has a really big reach only had like 12 reviews. So these are pretty much golden, precious things. So if you would do me the kindness of showing up and taking care of that, that would be awesome. It really makes a difference. It helps people find us. And, if you ever want to geek out about an episode, it gives you one more person to talk to about it besides me. Hear me now, though. I love talking about your insights and your awareness when you reach out to me and give me a little text message or a voice message. And you're like, hey, this is what I took away from this, and this is what I would add. I love hearing that. I've had several of you go, you know what else would have been good in that episode? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That would have been good in that episode. Thanks for letting me know. All right. So here we are today together talking about the 4 agreements. And before you click this off, because you're like, yeah, the 4 agreements, read it, got it, have the t-shirt, don't need to hear anymore. Just bear with me, because my first question, if you're very familiar with the 4 agreements, is, are you living it? And if you're not familiar with the 4 agreements, let me catch you up. And then I'm going to propose to you a 5th agreement. So what are the 4 agreements? The 4 Agreements was a book by Don Miguel Ruiz that says it shares ancient Toltec wisdom. And the 4 agreements are just a basic way of living a good, ethical, and moral life. Moral is a bad word, but how to live a good life. It's a guide to how to live a good life. And the way that you get to the 4 agreements is by understanding 2 things. 1, you are living in a dream. And 2, it is possible to wake up. Now, if you've ever heard of any spiritual tradition of any kind, those 2 thoughts are not going to be foreign to you. That's a basic idea underneath many, many philosophical and spiritual traditions. The idea that the reality that we are experiencing is being experienced through a filter of some kind. In psychological terms, we're experiencing reality not as it is, but as we are. We see reality through our cultural conditioning, through our points of view, through the beliefs we've acquired through our traumas. We have all of these biases. We have all of these ways of interpreting the information that is being brought to us by our senses through a filter that has been created by our experiences. And this begins the moment you open your eyes. From the moment you open your eyes, you begin to acquire those points of view, those beliefs, those understandings that shape what you see. For example, we all have a confirmation bias. We are slightly more drawn to information that confirms what we already believe than we are to information that contradicts what we believe. And that's just one of many examples. So whether you believe that we are living in a virtual reality and, the real us is plugged into a headset somewhere, or whether this is Krishna's dream, or however you want to think of it, we very much experience reality through a filter of some kind. And so that second piece is that it is possible to wake up. It is possible to do things that help us engage with what is more clearly, more openly, and more accurately. So that's the basis on which the 4 agreements are built, is waking up from the dream. So here they are. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean what you say. And the Buddhists among us are going to recognize this as engaging in right speech. It's not only about speaking truth, it's also about speaking what is necessary. So you may have an opinion that your friend's last haircut was more flattering than this one. So that may be a kind of truth for you, but is saying that out loud being impeccable with your word? Impeccable. It's a high standard. It means that you're not sloppy with your words. You're not lazy with your words. You are not cruel with your words. You are not hasty with your words. Be impeccable with your word. And in American culture, and I believe in English, British culture as well, your word is your bond, right? When you say, I give you my word in English, that means I've made a vow or a promise or a commitment. So you can dig into be impeccable with your word for a very, very long time. So number 1, be impeccable with your word. I myself will confess to losing track of that recently in a specific way, which is according to David Allen's Getting Things Done system, if it's on your calendar, you do it. And my calendar has become kind of a placeholder for, I might kind of, sort of. So I am not being impeccable with my word in as much as my calendar does not reflect the reality of how I am going to spend my time. So that's something that I require to clean up. If it's on there, I said I'm going to do it. I need to do it. And if I'm not going to do it, it needs to not be on there. Number 2, don't take anything personally, aka it's not about you. Even if the other person's trying to convince you that it's about you, it's not about you. Go back to the first premise. We're living in a dream. So everyone's perception is based on the dream in which they are living and how much they have awakened from it. So everything that everyone else is perceiving is also being perceived through their filter. So what they are saying to you or about you is about them. Now, do not go around weaponizing this. Be open and available to taking feedback. How someone is perceiving you is good information. Scratch the good. How someone is perceiving you is information. But that's different than taking it personally. So even if I walk up to you, look you in your eyes and say, you're stupid. That's information. Dawn said I was stupid. But don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. And taking it personally means making it significant, making it important, assuming that it's true, and that it's something that you need to react to, rather, not even respond to. So don't take anything personally. Take everything that happens as information. Look for how it may be of service to you. Is there any truth in it? Is there not? But ultimately, that's Bertram. It's the things that we take personally that begin to control us. If I take it personally that someone goes on my Instagram and says I look fat in those jeans, then my feelings are all hurt and I'm upset and I've disturbed my own peace of mind. Someone going onto someone else's Instagram to say they look fat is really about them. Okay, so don't take anything personally. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. And don't make assumptions. Never assume anything. One of the things the book says is if you were ever surprised, that's on you. Because in order to be surprised, you must have had an expectation. You've made an assumption about how things were going to go, and it didn't go that way. So if you're surprised, that's on you. I like to refer this one to the Buddhist idea of the beginner's mind. Approaching each and every moment as if it's fresh and new and you're experiencing it for the first time. Now, of course, you're not going to forget all of your life experiences, so that information is available to you. But you don't walk into the meeting with your dentist who you've been seeing every 6 months for the last 12 years, assuming exactly how it's going to go. You find out. You approach it with openness and curiosity. And yeah, it's probably going to go pretty similarly, but you don't know. You don't know. Don't assume. Don't assume. And that also goes with one of my favorite principles is approaching life with curiosity. What if you wonder what it's going to be like to see your dentist this time instead of assuming you know what's going to happen? Because let's go back to the top. Your assumptions are your point of view. Your point of view shapes your reality. And if you're busy assuming, you may miss what's actually there. And the last one is always do your best. Notice it's do your best, not always be the best. It's not about comparing yourself to other people. If you can hear Bertram, he's a little mad because the door is closed. He'll get over it. Don't worry about him. He's fine. Always do your best. Always do your best. I'm going to pause there. Go take care of the old man. He wanted to go outside. All right. Always do your best. Right now, I'm doing my best to accommodate a grumpy old dog man who really hates closed doors and like all bully breeds. Oh, I don't know about all the bully breeds, but I think most of them are very sort of kind of dogs. It's not crying. It's their version of vocalizing. So always do your best. And your best is going to change from day to day. Your best when you have a migraine is going to be different than your best when you've come back from your tropical vacation where you got to sleep and swim with dolphins and have yourself a grand old time. Today, when I'm recording this, it is September 11th, 2022. This is the anniversary of a tragic day in history. And anniversaries have a way of bringing up certain kinds of feelings. So my best today might be different than yesterday or tomorrow. Hello, doggy sir. Go ahead and sit down. So always do your best and just love and accept that your best is going to be different. So in more recent times, Don Miguel Ruiz has added a fifth agreement. His is be skeptical, but learn to listen. And I think there's something to that in as much as we have a problem in our cultures of people who are buying lies, hook, line, and sinker, and then plugging their ears and being unwilling to listen to anyone who disagrees with them. And it's not just them who are doing that, it's us too. I catch myself really being intolerant sometimes of certain kinds of points of view. So it's important to be skeptical of information that comes into you because there's a lot of misinformation floating around in our world right now. And it's important to learn to listen, right? It goes back to don't make assumptions. If I'm assuming that because a certain piece of information is coming from a certain person that it can't possibly be true, I may miss out on something really valuable. So while I like and enjoy, be skeptical, but learn to listen as a fifth agreement, I would like to propose a different one with all respect to Don Miguel Ruiz. And the fifth agreement that I would like to propose is to love everyone and everything everywhere. What? Yeah, I said love everything and everyone everywhere. You're like, but that's impossible. I don't even know everybody in my town. How am I going to love everyone? My point really is that the energy of love, and I know I'm sounding all like, woo, let's just all love each other and hold hands and sing kumbaya. But I kind of mean it. When I challenge myself to agree to love everything and everyone everywhere, I find that those other four agreements come along for the ride. So for the last couple of weeks, every morning, I've been going through these four agreements with my own added to it. So I call it 5 agreements. I wake up and I say, today, I agree to love everything and everyone everywhere. I agree to be impeccable with my word. I agree to take nothing personally. I agree to make no assumptions. I agree to do my best. And when I frame it in loving everyone and everything everywhere, of course, I'm going to be impeccable with my word. Is it loving to lie? Is it loving to gossip? Is it loving to react personally to someone else's bad day? Love everyone and everything everywhere. And I realize that that is technically impossible, at least for me. You know, I haven't evolved into a ball of light and ascended into the cosmic consciousness yet. Who knows what the week will hold? But the aspiration to love everyone and everything everywhere. God bless that little doggy. Nothing like a senior pit bull to really keep you on your toes. My aspiration to love everything and everyone everywhere just checks me when I try to get on a high horse. And I have a few of them. Where I get all self-righteous. You know, don't even get me started about, I don't even know. Pick one. And like, well, love everyone and everything everywhere. And that includes people who would be diametrically opposed to whatever it is that you're about to get on your high horse about. When I do hear the news and someone has done really something horrific, rather than wishing them ill, rather than wishing horrible things, deciding what that person deserves for what they have done, I take a pause and I remember that they're still a person. And as much as they deserve to reap what they have sown, that they need to experience the consequences of their behavior, of their choices, that doesn't mean that I have to wish them ill. Does that make sense? You can allow someone to experience the consequences of their behavior. You can bring a lawsuit against someone who has acted out of integrity and acted out of the law and violated a moral code without hating them, without wishing them ill, without rancor in your heart. You do not have to corrupt yourself with emotional or spiritual or verbal violence in order to hold someone else accountable. It's a paradox of both and. What would happen if we all chose to love everything and everyone everywhere? Yeah, that includes Russian soldiers right now. And yes, that includes the rainforest and the people who are burning it. That includes, that one politician and your neighbor who refuses to trim their tree and it's messing up your fence. Your ridiculous old man dog who keeps grunting and whining when you're trying to record a podcast. So I submit this for just play with it. Just play with it. Today, I agree to love everything and everyone everywhere. I agree to be impeccable with my word. I agree not to take anything personally. I agree to make no assumptions. I agree to do my best. So there you go. And with that, thank you for being here. And with that, I wish you this remembrance. You are whole. You are perfect. You are complete. Oh, and by the way, you are stunning. Downright gorgeous. Beautiful beyond measure. And you're a snazzy dresser there too. I can see you. I know what's up. And right here, right now, you really are. Hear me now. Believe me now. Even if you change nothing about yourself, even if you change everything about yourself, you are totally and completely worthy and deserving of all good things. Until next time.